So so of course you were on Pop the Balloon recently. What made you wanna, audition? I'm assuming it was an audition. What made you want to audition for Pop the Balloon?
Yeah, I think the main thing it was again, as I mentioned, I'm very open, right, to trying different things. I haven't been dating for at least 2 years. I've been single for at least 2 years, and I wouldn't say I've been actively looking, right. I've been more so focused on my career,
Right.
but at the same time, I never lose sight of a good opportunity, right. So
Hmm.
if I'm out and I meet someone, I'm definitely open to kind of exploring where that could go, right. Very much
Right, right.
organically. Interesting enough, my cousin Eric, who connected us, he mentioned, "Hey man, you
Yeah,
should go on
yeah.
there. Like you would definitely probably have a chance of finding a match. And you get to meet
Right,
some
right.
some different people from all walks of life, right?"
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Why not?" You know,
Right, right.
it's I'm a very spontaneous person, right? Really do
Huh?
got a passion for life, and so I figured, hey, why not? What can I possibly lose by going on here?
Yeah, right, right. And it's funny. And your cousin is my guy, really good friend of mine, a good guy. So, and how tall are you, if you don't mind me
6'2".
asking? 6'2". And we haven't met in person, but your cousin and I are about the same height, right? So us being short, we know if we go on Pop the Balloon, just our height alone, they're gonna pop on us, right? So we gotta gas our taller friends and taller cousins up. So we're no, seriously, it was. I hope it was a great experience for you, man.
So Jeremy, you're saying that the girls can have their preferences, but the guys can't?
Hey, man, yeah, the game is the game, right? Hey, yeah, as one of those double standards, right?
Yeah. No, it was a great experience. Again, I know it was very controversial, the whole hair comment about one of the
Uh-huh.
ladies that was on the show.
Right, right.
But it really was just what it was. There was no, malice that came from it. It
Uh-huh.
was, a lot of people were like, there's shrinkage and all this other terms that I was hearing.
Huh?
One of the first things I thought about was, well, when men come on there and they're not dressed for the occasion, we hear
Uh-huh.
about it, right?
Right, right.
So if your hair is longer, even in natural state, you can comb it out or whatever you need to do, style it up a little bit more, you know,
Mhm.
then that's what I would expect as well, right? That's no different from me coming in, wearing hoop shorts when I should be
Right,
dressed up,
right.
right?
Right, and it
So,
was some woman on there. One of the reasons I believe why a woman popped her balloon was what she was wearing. Correct.
right, yeah.
Right, right.
So again, yeah, they have their preferences. I heard a lot of times, not really feeling the outfit,
Hmm.
that's fine. You can change clothes,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So those are things that I don't wear the outfit every single day, right? I have
Right, right.
different styles. So we're talking about deeper things of substance. One thing I can say is whether you like my outfit or not, I know the outfit was good. I mean, it
Yeah,
may have not been the best outfit, but the outfit was
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. And like you said, it's their preference, and it appeared. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you made the comment about the hair, because hair can change. But when you were speaking about most of the women, it seemed like you were speaking from a perspective of if I saw this woman like out in a bar or whatever the case may be, at first glance, she wouldn't be my type.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny because even looking at a lot of the aftermath, right? Different,
Mhm.
reviews, people kind of,
Mhm.
doing their take on the episode. A lot of folks
Mhm.
thought that I was picky
Mhm.
and perhaps I like, you know, white girls, right?
Right, right,
But it's funny because anyone that knows me knows I've only dated black girls, right?
right, right.
And one of the things that kind of like going back to what you were saying, right, is yeah, if I'm out, that's exactly how I approach it. The time that I was on that stage and having those interactions with those women, I actually forgot about all the lights and cameras, right?
Uh-huh,
I actually
uh-huh.
felt like I was out talking to women in some sort of social setting, right?
Right,
And
right.
so I was really focused on having a actual conversation of substance.
Okay.
And what was very telling, and even for me, was
Mhm.
what happened during my experience was very similar with how things happen, right? When you go out and you meet women nowadays in public, right? It's a very short-sighted mindset in
Mhm.
terms of right finding a way, which it seems like to deselect the man, right? So finding things that are very minuscule, minute versus all of these other great things, right? Even on the episode, if you watch, most of the comments for most of the contestants, nice guy, looks good, dresses well, but you're
Yeah,
too nice,
yeah,
or your voice isn't deep enough, or you seem too
yeah,
laid back. I'm
yeah,
like, so you're
yeah,
telling me you got 90% of what you want,
yeah, yeah,
95% of what you want, but this is what
yeah.
is ultimately gonna, you know, be the determining factor. What that tells me, right, is if I'm in a relationship with any of them, right? Well, what happens when I work my butt off to provide a lifestyle and support you, and we're living in all, we have nothing but blessings to be grateful for, and you're
Mhm.
willing to take something so minute and just blow up the whole set, right?
Right, right.
So it's a deeper, greater mentality that comes along when you're talking about, what are we really talking about here? So you're always
Mhm.
going to find a way to sabotage something good. Whereas I'm always looking at focusing on the good and building better, right?
Mhm.
And so,
Okay.
yeah, and again, I see that all the time, in real life when I'm out and I'm talking to girls, they really, and you see it, even if they're into you, they're attracted to you, they're almost trying to find a way to either turn the dynamics in their favor,
Mhm.
right? Right. So it's like, okay, I'm feeling them, but I don't want to know I'm feeling them.
Uh-huh.
I can't give myself up too easy, right?
Right, right.
And then that's where it's like, okay, I'm gonna give him a little bit of a dismissal and see if he's willing to, try to rebuttal. But yeah, no, overall, those I have nothing against any of the contestants. But again, most of them weren't my type, if we're being honest.
Right, right. So, and that's on surface level. So, do you think any of them, if you, let's say, if you work closely with them or you just became friends with them, do you think after getting to know them a little more, because you only had so long to get to know those women, right? Some of them you didn't get to know at all because they popped the balloon or whatever. So, like, let's say the first young lady, with the hair comment, do you think that she could be your type if you got to know her and you all formed a friendship bond first?
Man, absolutely. So as I told you before, right? I have my perceptions, right? Even going back to when I told you, I'll look at the social media page, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm also gonna do my research, right? And nowadays with me, right, personality is a major component, right?
Right.
It
Right.
makes or break you, right? The most beautiful girls that I've been able to talk to and date, when I found out their personality just wasn't there, or it was like not much substance, it made them fall from a 8, 9 to 5 or 6. You know what I mean, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, right? And it was like, if I'm attracted to you, and then you have a personality, there's a lot of commonalities, and greater depth to you. It actually makes me more attracted than I can ever be to a woman. And so,
Right.
yeah, really, with my conversations with all of them, with all of the contestants, you know, I was open to having, especially for the ones who definitely, there were some good looking girls in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there was an opportunity to have a more engaging conversation with them, I definitely believe we maybe would have formed a connection based off of something else versus initial attraction.
Right. Right. And that's what makes it so tough is y'all only have so long. Right. That's what really makes it tough.
But isn't that
So let me ask.
indicative of real life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anytime you approach a girl, you got a very
It's that
minute,
first.
yeah.
Yeah. It's that first impression. You're right. You're right. I will say because you do like a woman that's in shape. Now this kind of is answered by one of your values. You want a woman that values fitness, right? But let's say you get a woman and you have a family, and you know some women that have kids put on weight, right? Now, what would that look like for you in terms of being in a relationship? And of course, if she values fitness, she's going to get back in the gym and get it off, right?
Right.
But in my experience with some women with the postpartum and everything, sometimes it does affect them mentally. And sometimes they're not motivated to get back in the gym, or it may be a little harder to shake back. I'm sure some people ask those questions as well, that based off of some of your comments, right?
Absolutely. But here's the thing, right? When you have habits, these are things that you do routinely.
Mm-hmm.
So the person I'm with who is into health and wellness, it's not something
Mm-hmm.
that they just started doing. It's not something that they take
Right.
lightly. So just
Mm-hmm.
like an athlete, we know how to bounce back. We're used to going through adversity, right? And we're used to
Mm-hmm.
dealing with it, right? We're used to getting yelled at our coaches, right? Getting pushed to our limits and having
Yeah.
to take that extra breath to get through that last rep, whatever it is, right? So it's no different with the person I'm dating, right? Because again, as I mentioned before, when you're talking about someone who really truly values health and wellness, there's a mindset that they have, right?
Of course.
They understand the greater purpose. So if I am with someone who becomes pregnant, more than likely they're gonna be working out during the pregnancy, right?
While they're
It's
pregnant,
healthy to
yeah.
work out when you're pregnant, right? And then once
Mm-hmm.
they give birth, they're gonna be trying to snap right back, and they probably will snap back faster because they've been doing this. Their body's used to it. And so at least they would want to put in the effort, right?
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing I can want is for someone who wants to put in the effort to be better, right? To always want to grow, right? To not be complacent, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
because we're together don't mean, all right, it's time to be comfortable. We
Mm-hmm.
still want to always push each other to grow and be our best selves. We only get one life, right? We only
Right.
get one
Right.
shot at
Right.
this. So why not optimize this one life we get? I find that a lot of times, with even friends that I grow with, you know, they exact example you just used. They got married. They used to be athletes. Now their significant other put on weight, and then they didn't want to challenge them. Right? They sort of
Mm.
accepted it, even though they didn't really like it. And because they weren't really willing to really speak about it, or they didn't feel comfortable, they
Mm-hmm.
also started putting on weight because it's like, well, if she's putting on weight, then well, what am I working out for? So it's almost like a sense of complacency that comes over them. But then they see me all the time. They're like, man, I need to get back in shape. Every time they see me, like, I need to get back in shape, which tells me there's a certain undertone of you not really feeling that you're living your best life, right? In terms of,
Uh-huh.
you could be better. And if you don't feel like
Mm-hmm.
you're living your best life, how is that actually festering into other aspects of your life? You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're not telling me, but I'm sure it's there. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel, if you are someone that is mentally in that mindset, it's habitual, right? So there's no reason that you couldn't snap back or you don't take it for granted.
Right. And it's your type physically. I know you say, my type, but it's also their mindset, right? Their mindset. So let's say one of those women that weren't physically your type, you know what I mean? Because you say that, not athletically built or whatever. And let's say she'd be like, hold on now, I was actually bigger than this and I have a goal. And she show you a picture, she done lost about 40 pounds. And she's like, I got about 20 more to go, but I'm gonna get there. What if one of those ladies would have hit you with that?
Oh, that's great. That means you got some sense of, first of all, a goal that you set and you're accomplishing, you're working towards. You're practicing healthy habits, right? You're building a healthy habit. You're showing
Mhm.
commitment. You know what I'm saying? Those are all key indicators I'm reading from that. From seeing that. So that's great.
Yeah. Now, would it make you have a second thought, like, okay, maybe, we can make something happen? She's already on that trajectory. We can be in the gym together. You know what I mean? I can motivate her.
Absolutely. If they're willing to allow me to guide them in that aspect,
Uh-huh.
Since, I do feel like I've got enough experience and knowledge and I've been doing it for so long, if they
Uh-huh.
feel comfortable with me guiding them in that aspect and they trust me to do that, then that's great.
Okay.
But also, you got to remember, if I were to meet one of them on the show, it doesn't mean we're together right away, right? It just
Right,
means
right, right.
it's the first initial connection, right? There's still a
Mm-hmm.
long ways for us to go. So just as I mentioned before, with the social media page, I see that, and then over time, you have to see if everything else kind of, checks out to be either what I may have perceived or if there's something different about that person. So I think once we
Right.
actually match, we go off and we start doing these things, time will tell, right? Are you doing this for me?
You're right.
Doing this for you? Are you faking the funk?
That's
So
a big, and that is a big part of relationships. You got to want to do it for yourself. And that's regardless if you want to get up and get healthy, more healthy, get a better job, go back to school. You got to do it for yourself, not the other person.
absolutely. And you said it earlier, right? We can't change people.
No.
So I don't want to have to change someone, right? I want
Mm-hmm.
them to
Right, right.
already appreciate themselves, and I can only
Mm-hmm.
add to it.
Right.
So if you're somebody who needs me in order
Mm-hmm.
for you to feel your best, then that's probably not good. That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
already have that internal, self sense of worth, then
Mm-hmm.
that's great. I can always help build upon that.
Right. Right. And like you said, it's not like if y'all form a connection, y'all getting married the next day, right? Y'all can form a connection, be friends, go on some dates. You look up a couple of months later, she's in better shape than what she was than when she met you, right? And that could be the thing, like, hey, I really like this characteristic of you. I think I want to maybe take this to the next level. But it's looked at. They looked at it. Your comments very black and white, right? But that's a great example. It is not black and white. Another extreme, I'm sure someone was thinking of, the short hair comment. They're saying, I'm a woman. I can, I may come in with my hair cut off tomorrow. I can come in, with long hair or whatever. I'm sure you being with a woman, she has long hair. Her cutting her hair, coming up with a short hairstyle wouldn't be something that would end a relationship or anything, right?
No, honestly, I've never dealt with that. Every girl I've ever dated had longer hair.
Mhm.
Actually, one girl I dated, this was right around the time I graduated from college. She did ask me, she asked my opinion on what do I think if she cut her hair shorter. And, obviously, she showed me what it looked like, and I said it looked great. And she actually did cut her hair a little bit shorter.
Mhm.
But again, I think with the comment, it was very much just what it was. It wasn't. I didn't say her hairstyle wasn't bad at all. In terms of her hair,
Right, right.
it just wasn't my cup of tea. You know
And this is based off first impression.
exactly.
Right, right, and your clothes, and she may have been the one that made a comment about what you was wearing or whatever, but just like your clothes can change, her hair can change, right? But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, because I don't watch Pop the Balloon that much, but when your cousin Eric reached out to me and he kind of told me that he kind of gassed you up to get on that audition, right? And then he was like, yeah, my cousin made it, and he was like, he gonna be on this episode. And so I was looking or whatever, and you made the hair comment. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, come on, Tersee,
But
you know what I mean?
here's the thing, right? You got to
Uh-huh.
remember, she had already popped on me.
Right, right.
So when I'm getting asked a question as to is she your type, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, man, maybe, in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, if she did have a better hairstyle, she might look better. Like that's what I'm thinking about. I'm processing this, like, because again, it's just all I have to go off of is just what she looks like. I haven't had a conversation with her.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm looking at based on what she's wearing, how she looks. I'm like, man, would I approach her? And honestly, in that moment, I'm like, not really. I just
And
wouldn't.
that was your rationale. Would I approach her? And it's
Right.
no, and it was a no for you.
It was a no for me, right? So now again, let's
Mm-hmm.
flip it because people have asked me, well, what if she said she was into you, right? So And I said, and I stand by what I said. And yeah, if she was into me, we would have had more conversation. It would, because I was so like, I don't know, not so much. That was literally what I said. Not so much. And literally
Mhm.
by me saying not so much, if you really look at my facial expression, I actually was kind of like
You
indifferent.
was contemplating it.
Yeah,
You was
I
yeah,
was contemplating. I was
yeah.
like, yeah, man, she could, but not so much,
Mhm.
right? So maybe if she had a different outfit on and a different hairstyle, it would have blew me away. I was like, oh man, yeah, that's absolutely, you know. So
Mhm.
again, I'm very open, you know,
Mhm.
but again, in
Right,
that
right.
moment, I was being honest.
Yeah, and she popped on you first, like you stated, and if she wouldn't have, she would have left her balloon up unpopped. Y'all possibly would have gotten to know each other. Because from what I've seen in the show, if the balloon is unpopped, now y'all get to have ask a few more questions
Hmm.
and get to know each other a little bit more. So it could have been one of those. She got to know you a little more. Okay, you got to know her a little more. It's like okay, yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
y'all possibly could have been a match and could have got to know each other a little further off, off of the show.
absolutely. I had this conversation. I was like, yo, if I'm able to select the person that I want to date, of
Hmm.
course I'm gonna select what I'm into. Like it's like
Yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
playing a video game and I get to build a creative player, I'm gonna build them in the image that I like, right? So
Hmm.
basically, what I'm saying is because I'm I get a lineup of women that I get to ultimately choose from, right?
Right, right.
So that is my selection, right?
Hmm.
But at that moment, I wasn't choosing, right? These are people who had already popped on me. So
Right. You
now
didn't even get the opportunity to choose.
I didn't get the opportunity to choose. So now you're asking me about what I approached them, which means the ball would be in my court. Like, so if I'm out in the ball and I'm seeing a bunch of different options, she's not the
Hmm.
option that I would go for first. Is essentially how I'm
Right,
thinking about that, and that's how I'm processing that moment.
right, right.
But
No, I
again,
got you.
if we're having a conversation, she could be
Hmm.
extremely attractive based on other things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. But all y'all had to go on was physical appearance, right? And yeah, you made that comment, and every woman on there that was remaining popped their balloons, right? And the one young lady, she kind of, yeah, she kind of tried to go in on you a little bit,
She
right?
tried.
What were you thinking during that moment?
I'm being honest. I blacked out once she started trying to go in because honestly, in that moment, it's like, oh yeah. As I mentioned before, right? I've been so content with my growth as an individual. You can't
Hmm.
shake my foundation. It's too strong, right? So when I
Hmm.
see someone off the hinges like that, I'll automatically check out. I compartmentalize the fact that okay, she's talking, but she's not saying anything of worth for me, right?
Right, right.
Because we're not having a conversation. It just became someone trying to yell their point, and
Hmm.
it wasn't a productive conversation.
Right,
So
right.
at that point, not even allowing me to respond to things that she was saying. She mentioned that my mom has short hair, and I said, no, she doesn't. And I
Right,
even
right,
have evidence to show you that
right.
she doesn't. Rather than
Mhm,
you own up to an opinion that was incorrect, right?
mhm.
You made an assumption, excuse me, that was incorrect and say, okay, my bad, I apologize. It let me know that you didn't have any respect for me, right? If you don't have respect for me, then I don't need to have a conversation with you. And,
Right,
and
and
if,
you didn't disrespect her at
yeah,
all.
so I'm not going to lose hair follicles and get upset, and you're
Mhm.
not going to throw me, out of whack because how you feel. That you're allowed to feel how you feel, but I can control how I react to it. And in that moment,
Right,
what she was saying wasn't even worth a reaction.
right, right, and she doesn't know you, right? And her even bringing up your mother, she don't know what the relationship is with your mother. Like me, my mother is deceased, right? So if I would have been in that situation and she would have brought up something about my mother while like going in on me, it probably would have upset me a little bit, right? Not saying I would have did anything, I would have tried to remain calm as possible as well, but it would have upset me a little bit. And I think I do remember when you said, my mother actually has long hair. She was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter," right? And it was just, yeah. And then you hit her with the comment. He was just like, "Yeah, sounds triggered."
Yeah. Well,
Is that what you like? Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's all good. Because one of the things that I immediately sort of thought about when she said it doesn't matter and just continue trying to force her point on us was this
Mm-hmm.
is what a lot of men go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, right? Sort
Yeah.
of the dismissal of what we're trying to say and how we actually feel about certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to be a recurring theme that even when you see it on other episodes. When
Right.
when
Right.
guys kind of speak up, right, in the most polite way, it's
Mm-hmm.
dismissed.
Right.
It's ridiculed. It's almost like a gang mentality where they're all laughing at the person, things like that. So it was an example of showing, okay, well, how can you actually expect to get a man when you're not even willing to listen to them?